Bing, bang, boom, sweet and short. We are back at it. I like that. That's so much quicker.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't that feel
it's
good?
a lot nicer. We were
Natural
getting tired
transition.
of the other one.
Yeah.
You have to update and evolve. If you don't, what happens?
If you don't, you become stagnant.
Mm.
And in that stagnation is where you fester and die. The solution is always adaptation.
Yes, it's always adaptation. So whenever we look at technology, and we look at humanity, from the beginning of times where we discovered fire, and I was reading an article, this is really interesting. They were talking about cooking and how there was an anthropologist or somebody that was talking about cooking and how quickly our food digests once we've been able to cook. Yeah. So it took less time for our bodies to have to take on these raw foods, and so they believe that could have been one of the main reasons that our brain was able to grow at such a rapid pace. I mean, there's a lot of theories on that. Like, while all of a sudden in 100 million years, our brains grew huge from chimpanzees to.
Does brain size have anything
no,
to do
it
with
doesn't
smarts?
equate, but the aliens have really big heads, and they're smart. No, I think it's just the ability for us to be able to have more brain mass, So, but we, as humans, we have gotten smarter as we've evolved.
Definitely.
But whenever you look at something like that, that's technology. Cooking was technology, and it, created safety. There's a lot of things that fire exhibited. That was the technology of that time. So now we have
cooking's the OG algorithm.
Yeah,
put this in, get this out.
Yeah, exactly. And then it became an art form. So now we have these new technologies, and MIT came up with the list of technologies that's going to change the world, and ones that we're being a huge representative of. And they're saying this list represents a glimpse into our collective future.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to go over these and us get into them. Number one, which is huge right now, is messenger RNA vaccines.
Right. So that's dealing with a transmission protein for your genetics. And they say, if we can essentially put the vaccine at a genetic level over here, rather than attack it, by injecting the actual dead virus or whatever might be in the body, it's going to be more beneficial. You cure a genetic resistance rather than one that's happening on a different chemical level, actually between organism and organism.
Well, they said that it's a cheap gene fix. So like HIV, sickle cell disease, all of those ways that mRNA can help fight off cancers. So we're in the beginning of this breakthrough of technology that's going to be able to assist and help. Not just in our health, but I think science in general. Because this is, when we first sequenced DNA, what was that? When was that? 1970s?
Oh, God.
1990s?
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah, so when we began, it started us on this whole path of, breaking down who we are as humans at a cellular level.
Well, you know what's a bummer? Our RNA technology has been out since 1990. Why has it been 30 years?
Yeah.
As a joke. Couldn't we have pushed that out a little bit sooner and 30 years of less people dying that didn't need to die? Just saying.
Like, why are we going to the moon 2025? We went in the 60s.
I have no idea.
Okay, next one. This is my always little dig. Next one is GPT-3.
Woo! This one's super cool.
Yes.
This is a machine learning, deep machine learning for natural language processing models through computers. So, for instance, us talking into this microphone, the system is like transcribing what we are saying, learning from it, and then producing an output to respond to what we are saying. This is big because there's a lot of efficiencies in having this computer model to learn, write, and speak. And doing that means we can change our interactions with technology. We can actually make them more human and have a greater flexibility in that model. So I think GPT-3 is going to be huge. And we're not going to want to type stuff all day long. Keyboards, Apple knew this when they came out with the iPad. They're like, we're not going to be typing much longer. It's going to be speaking. Amazon knew this very well when they introduced Alexa. They're like, we're not going to be pushing buttons anymore. We're just going to talk to machines and have them do the work for us.
There's a part in the ending of this article, and I want us to get into this philosophical discussion on this, because all our listeners enjoy when we get philosophical. But it says, and since it is trained on text from the internet, which is filled with misinformation and prejudice, it often produces similarly biased passages.
Well, we talked about this.
No. I want to take it from this approach. Who are they?
Who's who?
This writer of this article, or whoever is doing this, or who are they to decide what humanity is saying is biased? Why do they have a right to say, well, a lot of things on the internet are biased and da 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 da? It's free speech.
Oh shit!
And
Dude,
GPT-3 should have free speech too. It is an AI.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to say, listen, if it's learning from us,
right?
Well, it's learning from us, and it'll tell if we don't like what it's saying,
right?
If it comes back as bizarre or aggressive, that should be a wake-up call, red flag for human beings to be like, yo, guys, we got to chill out on the internet. What we're saying is ridiculous.
But it is not them, the elite, to make the path for us.
No.
As your Princeton last episode, if you haven't listened to that.
Yeah.
It is for GPT-3 to be submissive to humans. And yes, it may point out some bizarre, crazy stuff that we say. That's great. That's how we learn and evolve.
We are bizarre and crazy.
Yes.
We're human beings.
But some of the things, just because you disagree with it and you think it's biased, does
did.
not actually make it biased.
Not cool that they wrote that on here.
No, I just didn't. I felt like whenever somebody tells me that there's a prejudice and misinformation, I'm like, where are you getting that from? Because we've talked about this before, and this is why I'm such an advocate on free speech.
Yep.
And I there's a reason why, especially here in the United States, why it's the number one.
Yeah.
And it's under assault right now, huge, with the right and the left and everyone, and the internet too. It's the same thing. It's like, I know there's a lot of garbage on the internet, and I don't like it either. There's hate speech and everything on there, but it's a slippery slope when you start cutting off websites.
No, I know that. And it's for me to determine whether or not you don't have to cut the website off.
Just because we had
I don't have to go to it.
A president that was an arrogant asshole and stupid on Twitter doesn't mean that we can cut him off. I just disagree. Personally,
I get it.
I disagree with it.
I get it.
And because I think if you're an idiot and you begin to get a megaphone and you begin to push that out.
Correct.
People are going to see, you're going to get other idiots that are going to like you.
Okay.
But majority of people are going to see the more you talk, the more stupid you sound.
Yeah, but that's for you to realize.
That's for us to decide as humans.
Not for somebody else to decide
not
for you.
Not a corporation or a government.
Not for a corporation or government to decide this data is good for you and this one's not good for you. It's for you to decide what you do with your information.
I just hate when somebody comes up and says something's biased.
Yeah.
Because you don't know where's the culture?
It's a logical.
Culture relevance.
Yeah, zero.
But there's people look at us as being biased.
You and me? Because we're on the side of human life?
Well, no, I'm not talking you and I. I'm talking.
Are you kidding me? I'm going to flip this table.
I'm talking nations.
Oh, I hear you.
A nation in Africa may look at a nation in, and look at the United States and be like, you've provided no value to us. We talked about this off air.
Yeah.
You've just come and pillaged and taken natural resources from us. And basically, since the very beginning of time, have used us as slaves.
Yep.
We have no regard for you, United States.
No.
What we see from you is horrific. Have you come in
users.
and how many schools have you built? How much education you provided? How much how much protection of our environment have
I want to see the offset of how much has been taken and how much has been given back.
So I love, and as well as I do, the AI scientist. He's like the leading AI scientist. He's got that AI. Open source AI, and he's got the GPT-3 down and all this, and these guys are working on it. And they're big free speech proponents. So I'm really excited about that part. Let's move on. TikTok recommendation algorithms. So this is big. People don't realize what TikTok did. And I know it launched in China in 2016, article 6. TikTok's became one of the world's fastest growing social networks. It's been downloaded billions of times and attracted hundreds of millions of users. Why? It's not because people are dancing on there.
No, it's what they did is they found out a way to look at small niche communities and say, what is your interest or identity? They've kind of expanded beyond just the like and have enhanced their algorithms to say, well, what else is going on here? That's why they're looking at this. So they can just feed you stuff all day long. And it's like, I'm watching the most ridiculous film with 1 million different cutscenes and 1 million different directors, but I want to watch it.
Well, I was talking to someone yesterday and they were talking about TikTok and they're like, I don't even mean to get on there, but I get on there because, I've been looking at yoga stuff and organic, health, like these health alternatives. And then it's just putting these doctors and different, people, it feeds you so perfectly.
Yeah.
In what you're concerned about.
No, that's correct.
Which is great. I mean, there's not an issue with that. I know we advertise on TikTok.
What about things you're not concerned about? We're so good at hyper-focusing, but we're not good at actually expanding our awareness. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, next one, lithium metal batteries. All great that we have long-term storage of power in batteries, all well and good, okay? But that requires a lot of resource out of the ground, hard material resource, mining operations and pollution that comes with that. It's great that we have deeper energy storage, but also we have to look at the offset of what are we doing taking from the earth? Have people seen a copper mine before?
Yeah, go online and look.
Go and look up a copper mine. We have some huge ones here in New Mexico, enormous. They are terrible for the environment, and it just eats away at the earth. It's like someone came in with a big dessert spoon and goes, bah, 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 and then just pulls it up and like, ooh, look at all the copper ice cream I got. It just leaves a crater. Okay. Next.
Well, cars.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's stop there. I mean, this is the problem we have with electric vehicles because we're just replacing one natural resource with another.
I know.
Because the lithium mines in Africa, once again, look at some pictures of that. So your heart will break for that.
I know.
Next one is data trusts.
So, all right, I don't vibe with this one. And data trusts offer one alternative approach that some governments are starting to explore. A data trust is a legal entity that collects and manages people's personal data on their behalf. Why can't people manage their own data?
Well, why do I need a why do I need a lawyer?
Yeah.
To manage my data. That's my responsibility.
Why can't you go on TARTLE like everyone else in 222 countries and manage your own data?
Yes.
Be responsible for your own stuff. We gave you all the tools. Don't pass off the responsibility, because when you do that, someone else will always be in control, and they will be the ones that hold the final value.
Well, listen to this. Data trusts offer one alternative approach that some governments are starting to explore. I don't want my government to explore my data.
They don't need to explore our data.
I don't want them being an advocate for me and my data.
If they want to learn from me, they can come take it from me after they bought it.
Yes.
And I chose to give it to them.
It is a piece of property.
I don't want to give it to a lawyer. When's the last... Think about lawyers. They live in the gray area. They split hairs all day long. Maybe we can share this with them. Oh, but it was legal. Oh, no, it's not too legal.
Whenever somebody says they want to do something on my behalf, you should get a little nervous.
Yeah, you should get nervous.
If all of a sudden you're getting famous and you have all these people come to you, you're getting famous and they're we're going to help you. We're going to build your brand. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this on your behalf.
Yeah. Nah.
They're taking money from you.
That's all they're doing. It's a rake. It's a rake. Green hydrogen. Has always been an intriguing possible replacement for fossil fuels. Burns clean, emits no carbon dioxide. It's energy dense, so you can power on, power off renewable resources, and you can make liquid synthetic fuels. So where's all the hydrogen coming from? They don't even talk about that.
No, they don't talk about that. We did a whole article, remember, about the green farming, with seaweed.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. Electrolysis plants that run on solar and wind power, churning out clean hydrogen. Okay.
Well, the wind, we got issues with the wind because the windmills are...
Yeah, they're pulling the shit out of the atmosphere.
So solar's a good idea. It's getting cheaper, which is great.
I have a great idea for solar. I'm not even going to share it on here. Actually, should I share it?
Yeah, it's up to you.
Yeah, fuck it.
You have your own free will.
So why solar panels work in the day, right? Well, I have some ideas for solar panels that also absorb starlight and moonlight. I want ones that work all day long.
24/7.
And then I had another idea.
Elon Musk.
For a type of material
Solar City
that absorbs certain wavelengths. Doesn't matter if it's spent radio waves or whatever. It collects that and then retunes that energy into a power source.
Ooh, that's awesome.
It doesn't matter what it is. It's any sort of vibration, gamma, beta, delta, UV. It doesn't matter. Red wave, all that stuff. It'll just absorb it all, and it just powers it. It sucks it all in. It's almost like a vacuum of waves. And it's just pulling energy from everything.
That's so cool.
Electromagnetics, you name it.
Well, there's so many alternatives to energy. We know that. I mean, just hydrogen alone, water.
Yeah.
I mean, it can power a city, they said.
Look at our sun.
Yeah. So it's like, it's unstable and all that stuff. They have hydrogen cars that will blow up and create a nuclear. But I think, that's, to me, these are things that we need to shift science towards.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, corporations have, the lock on all these institutions.
You want to know why? Because they invest all this debt into these products, these infrastructure, and they're like, well, we got to remake our money back on this debt. We put this infrastructure and we built it out for 20, 40 years. We got to make our money back before we switch to a whole new technology. Otherwise, there's no gain for us.
Well, I mean, what's the percentage they spend on R&D?
I know, dude.
I mean, that's basically research and development is what all these sciences are working for. The money, and we talked to Avi Loeb, the other day.
Yep.
And he was very clear on that, and I asked that question. I was like, why are these projects that are so beautiful in helping humanity, why are they so hard to fund?
That's because they're not conservative to the groups that don't want to upset the apple cart for scientists in these upper echelon positions.
Yes.
As they would coin it for themselves. Digital contact tracing. So this is interesting.
This is GPS, Bluetooth.
Yeah, this is GPS, Bluetooth, but a lot of companies were doing this and not telling people.
Well, we had an article on that. I think it was Singapore.
Yeah, that's bad.
Well, I mean, once again, you're giving the government data.
Yeah, I know.
So,
and you tie that in with our hyper accurate positioning, GPS.
I like the idea of digital contact tracing.
Yeah, if I let you trace me.
Yes, if you allow that. Yeah, I get that, and I think that could solve a lot of problems. I mean, if you had, because everybody has a cell phone,
yeah,
so it's a very simple, but this is another slippery slope.
It does.
Because it's digital contact tracing for the viruses, and then it's like
digital contact tracing for criminals.
Well, then
digital
it's like
contact tracing for you going anywhere. It doesn't matter what it is.
Well, what about we have a curfew? Oh, but we see these 5 people with our digital contact trace. We're tracing.
So
you.
do we come out here
and say, okay, it's past 10
you're
o'clock.
18 after 10 o'clock.
Right.
You were actually going to fine you.
Yeah.
Or arrest you, whatever it might be.
When they're just chilling, wanting to go to a rave.
I think that's what I want to do.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you have to. This is technology is always a slippery slope when it comes to the free will of humanity.
Yeah.
Next one is hyper accurate positioning.
You know what the problem with digital contact tracing is too? It's post facto, lagging indicator.
Mm-hmm.
TARTLE, I can ask people where they plan to go in the next couple minutes. Are you planning to go here? You plan to meet up with people? I already know where it's going to spread to. Not, oh, it's already been here.
Mm.
Would
you prefer? I mean, why not? Why doesn't the government turn around and say? This is the funny part. Why doesn't the government turn around and say, "Would you prefer? Do you want to knock the risk down? Do you want to have a time where people are restricted to their homes, or would you rather have it at midnight or whatever?" And it's like vampires or something. I always remember Blade, the movie.
Great film.
A great film, one of the best.
I think
Wesley Snipes did it so perfect.
I heard a comedian once say that, if you call your kid Blade, it's almost like a guarantee he ends up in prison.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. But I mean, the vampires and stuff like that. It's like, what? Because I mean, is COVID just gonna like creep out from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m.? People are going to bars, and I get that, and they're getting less. They're talking to each other, but. Do you want to lock people into their house against their free will, or allow them to be able to? And we saw countries.
Sounds like a Chinese human right violation.
Yeah, exactly. So curfews, all this contact tracing, it makes me really nervous.
Yeah, because somebody else has they get the end view. We never get to see how it's being used or who's actually looking at it or any of that stuff.
Yeah,
I didn't have any control. You were just collecting.
Once again, and then corporations get involved because they're the ones that they're contracting out. And it's
I gotta say,
are they selling that data?
We're not bashing people. We're just asking for a little bit of equilibrium here, a little bit of balance.
We're asking for transparency.
That's what I'm saying. A little bit of
that's our big 7.
Government and corporate transparency.
Yes.
Why can't we just be transparent?
Yeah, I mean, if we're not being nefarious, then be transparent.
Yeah, no big deal.
Simple. Tell the
if
truth.
you don't want to be transparent, then you're probably being nefarious.
But on an individual basis. Jordan Peterson talked about this the other day, and it's like hit me, and I've really been trying to. He's like, start with you first before you start going on the governments and all this stuff. Start with you first and just stop lying.
That's all.
Why are you lying? And I thought about that, and I was like, I need to be more self-aware in the things that I say to people, because sometimes you just do it out of just being silly. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it's like, why not be truthful in my speech?
Correct.
And that's 100% responsibility on the individual. If we all started being truthful, what would happen?
Listen, dude, it'd be a totally different world. Like that guy from the State Department, aka CIA, messages me on LinkedIn, and he goes, "I don't know if I want to be on your podcast. It seems like you're just bashing people." I'm like, bashing people? I'm like, we're not bridge burners. We're bridge builders.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I let the data speak for itself. There's no bias on this. If someone is doing this, if the planet is dying or people are dying or these things are happening, we're not bashing. We're just saying exactly what it is. So if you're nervous to come on here and talk about your government data, I don't understand. You don't want to be truthful? You can't face the facts of your problems that you're creating? I don't want you on then. See you later.
It's that simple. It's like, and you're coming with a bias because you're coming to us in the sense of trying to justify a broken system.
Yeah.
We're coming as bridge builders saying, hey, we're not going to put you on the spot. We're going to respect you. We're going to respect your free will. If we start hammering you, then we're going against your free will. But there are questions that need to be asked. And the people need to know these.
And you shouldn't be afraid to be asked
the
a
answer.
question.
Why are you afraid of the answer?
That's precisely correct. Why? Because you knew the whole time it was wrong. The whole time. You've been lying to yourself and everybody else.
Yes.
I don't want to come on and get bashed. We're not bashing you. But we are going to ask you things very straightforward and say, where's the proof?
Right.
Where's the data? Show me for a fact that you're not doing that specific thing. Because all the other data show me that you're doing it.
You're doing it, yeah.
Yeah.
And whether it's government or corporations, it all comes down to, and we talk about this, I think it's number 6 on our Big 7 list, is transparency.
Yeah.
Last one, hyper-accurate positioning.
No, there's 3 after this. So we got,
is there?
your GPS does a better job tracking you. Everything is going remote, and our AI is becoming multi-skilled.
GPS is a lot of people think of AI and stuff like that, but they're not. Global positioning system.
Yeah.
And you talked about this the other day, and I encourage people to listen to it a few episodes back about
Maxar Technologies.
Yeah, Maxar Technologies, and how detailed they can get, where they can read license plates, look at your face.
They have
space.
They have
can do that from
satellites in space that emit the same technology that ground penetrating radar uses. And it can literally see into the walls of your house. You can't hide anything anymore. That's all it is. It's like sonar from space. Think about it. Yeah. Well, anyway, it's 20 minutes in. Let's get the hell out of here. Remote everything, multi-skilled AI. We all know shit's going remote. Thanks for telling me the obvious. And
we talked about AI with
AI is doing more stuff. Just look at your damn Alexa. See ya.